President Trump delivering on another one of his campaign promises, calling for tougher immigration laws. The president hosted a roundtable with police, congressmen, and local leaders on Long Island, New York, an area hit hard by the murderous MS-13 gang.
We're here today to discuss the menace of MS-13. It's a menace. They exploited the loopholes in our laws to enter the country as unaccompanied alien minors. They look so innocent. They're not innocent. Crippling loopholes in our laws have enabled MS-13 gang members and other criminals to infiltrate our communities. And Democrats in Congress refuse to close these loopholes, including the disgraceful practice known as catch and release.
The president also calling out Democrats who he says came to the defense of MS-13 gang members after he called them animals.
I noticed recently where Democrats, Nancy Pelosi as an example, are trying to defend MS-13 gang members. I called them animals the other day, and I was met with rebuke. They said, they're people. They're not people. These are animals. And we have to be very, very tough.
Meanwhile, a local police commissioner sounding the alarm on just how dangerous these gangs are to communities.
We need help. When we have 40% of our homicides, and we had record low homicides last year, 40% are MS-13 related, and out of that 6 that they committed, 4 of them were butchered with machetes and buried into graves, shallow graves that the families can't not only identify but can't find. We need that support from the president. We have him watching our back now. He's supporting our enforcement efforts, but we can also use some funding now from D.C.
Okay, so the president tackling this issue head on, Greg, and doubling down. He faced criticism. He said he faced rebuke for calling and identifying specifically gang members from MS-13, calling them animals. He repeated that today and then had some evidence to back it up from the local authorities.
Well, politically, this is a big win for him. In this issue, Trump's stance will register. For Trump, the MS and MS-13 stands for must stop. For the Democrats, MS and MS-13 stands for misunderstood. And the more he shows the contrast, the better it is, because the media and the Democrats, they continually with Trump, they get bogged down in language and they always lose. They're so worried about the words, and it reveals the lopsided priorities. So you got a president who's worried about jobs, terror, North Korea, gangs. Meanwhile, you have another side that's concerned that he called gang members animals. It's like, imagine your house being on fire and your neighbors are complaining that the fire engines are too loud. That's what this is. Democrats worrying about what you call gang members, our neighbors saying, hey, could your fire engines keep it down while the house burns? Yeah, it's exactly that.
Can you imagine? Okay, so the 3 alarm has been sent here on Dana for MS-13. Obviously, something needs to be done about it. I saw you reacting to the statistics in terms of the number of homicides.
40%.
Absolutely, yeah. And the heinous nature of the crimes that they commit.
Well, I talked to a former prosecutor today who did a lot of these cases, especially in Maryland, who said that he thinks of MS-13 as the mafia of our generation, and that one of the ways that they've gone after them is like they used to do for the mob through RICO, which is racketeering something and something. I can't remember the exact words, but so I asked, well, then what laws, as the president said today, like we need Congress to do something, what do you think Congress could do that could actually help law enforcement? And he said that he does believe that the lax borders is a huge problem because of the ability to regenerate, and that they're recruiting at younger and younger ages, and that this brutality is, he said, it's almost ISIS-like in the killing,
yes,
in the way, and it's ratcheting up and it's getting worse. He also said that MS-13 was in about 10 states in 2005, and by the late 2000s in all 50 states. The one thing I think today was important to bring attention to it. I did note that in Connell McShane, when he was doing the reporting for us today, that there is a local Democratic congressman who was not invited to today's meeting, and I think that was a mistake. I think because he said he would have gone if he had been invited. And why not try to co-opt some of them, Democrats, so that you can actually make this a bipartisan issue and leave the people who want to call it, who want to make fun of the president for saying animals, like they'll just have to deal with their own politics on that side. But if you really want to solve the problem, you will need Democrats, and the local congressman is probably a good place to start.
That's a really good point in terms of a takeaway of good event today. Can be even better if you do something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the sheer numbers, great point, Dana. 2,000 members of MS-13 on Long Island alone. And the backdrop behind the president said, secure our borders, protect our communities. And one of the participants said, you can't protect our communities until you secure our borders. And the president has that wide view. They do regenerate. Yeah. And the contrast you see between the folks yelling about the animals comment is, the president wants the rule of law, enforcing the laws we have, versus lawlessness. He wants borders versus open borders. He believes merit-based immigration is better than the Russian roulette, not to use Russia, but the Russian roulette of who knows who's coming, why they're coming, what their intentions are. And, Greg, to your point, MS-13 is the perfect example. This president identifies opportunities to expose the left and the insanity that they pursue, catch and release sanctuary cities. And MS-13 is that example, and everyone knows it. And it's a real problem for real people in their lives. And I think he's hit the nail on the head on this one.
Yes, and so it's a really an unfortunate position the left finds themselves in, Richard, that they're defending these kind of criminals.
Defend all of them, Richard.
Lawless criminals, that now the proliferation is spread to all 50 states. When you liken them to ISIS, it seems like perfectly appropriate because they are domestic terrorists in terms of the crime, the racketeering, the murders that they carry out.
So listen, here's my take on this. So when President Trump made the animals comment, he complained that he was taken out of context, and he was. And what he's doing to Nancy Pelosi now is taking her out of context completely. Nancy Pelosi's argument was a larger narrative about what the president's rhetoric on immigration overall and how this animal comments bleeds into that larger narrative. It was nothing to do with MS-13. If you ask any Democrat on Capitol Hill, they would say, yes, MS-13 is heinous, they're awful, and that's why we have laws like RICO and other laws to make sure that gangs like that in this country don't spread. But you have to separate MS-13 from those individuals from the dreamers. You have to separate MS-13 from the... Wait a minute, let me finish. No, she did not. Let me finish. But think about the mother who left Guatemala or Nicaragua or El Salvador, the three most dangerous countries on earth, when they walk 3,000 miles with all their belongings and their children to seek freedom and to seek the American dream. They are nowhere near what MS-13 is.
That's what he wasn't referring to that.
But that's my point. When you cannot conflate, you have to separate the two.
She purposely conflates. She says when Trump says MS-13 are animals, he's calling all immigrants animals.
No. That is not what Leader Pelosi said. Leader Pelosi,
because they believe Trump is racist, and so they want to make people think that he's racist. Right?
Listen, you just twisted a whole bunch of things to create alternative facts. Here's what Nancy Pelosi...
Oh, no, you didn't.
What Nancy Pelosi was trying to say was the president's rhetoric overall, when he came down the golden staircase and called Mexicans rapists and murderers, right? The rhetoric leads to the problem, not what he said about MS-13.
All right, let me respond to that. The argument that you're using is that it really doesn't matter what Trump said now, it's what he said then.
Yes. Which was 4 years ago.
Yeah, and also, one could argue what he meant back then is exactly what he meant now, but he did it in a sloppy way. But the fact is, this argument cannot work. You know, if I didn't rob a bank, but maybe in the past I might have, so he's probably guilty. If he's not guilty now, he was probably guilty then. It's an illogical argument. Right. You can't say, and I used this analogy before, when you find a hate crime and it turns out to be false, the left says, well, it's false here, but it could be true somewhere else. It's actually a deflection from actually just admitting Trump was right, and people like Pelosi are conflating.
By the way, if you care about public safety and you care about citizens in the communities being able to go to work, to take their kids to school, why would you take the side of people who are coming in, committing heinous crimes, murders,
Nobody's
and
taking
making
the side of MS-13.
Well, but they
Why are you in MS-13?
I am not. I don't even know MS-13. I've never even seen them. But my point...
I have. This is the thing.
No, I get that. But
why are you denying this?
We can all agree at this table that he is taking Nancy Pelosi out of context. Can we agree on that point?
I don't think so.
No.
She did not say that.
She took him out of context, and then he responded
by taking her out of context.
I think that the left has played this incorrectly from a strategic standpoint. This is a community that you would think would actually like it if the Democrats said, we understand that you're not like them.
They're preying.
But we are going to protect you by going after them. Like, I think that the strategy on all this doesn't make any sense.
Just admit one time the president might be right. Same thing with
First of all, I will admit when the president's right, I will give the president's kudos for being right. But here, my argument is he is conflating regular immigrants who are coming here trying to seek the American dream with MS-13.
is doing that. We're going to agree to disagree on that because a little bit heated there, but a little bit heated over here. Watch this heated exchange between the head of ICE and Democratic California Congresswoman Nanette Barragán for suggesting his organization was anti-immigrant.
We love to paint immigrants as criminals. That is not the complete facts. It makes me sick to my stomach to keep hearing over and over again, painting the broad stroke and the picture as though these are folks who are coming here to do harm.
First of all, no one on this panel is anti-immigrant. We're law enforcement officers who enforce the law that you all enacted. So to sit there and say that we're anti-immigrants is wrong.
All right, Greg, so people taking offense, if you say, okay, anti-immigrant, they're not saying they're anti-immigrant. They are for upholding the laws that are on the books. How is that anti-immigrant? How is that racist to enforce the law and ensure public safety?
Again, it's an example of conflation, and it happens a lot. Like, we've been in this situation where we will talk about Islamic terrorism, and people will accuse you of Islamophobia.
Thank you.
It's like, but I'm not actually talking about Islam. I'm talking about terrorists who happen to be Islamic terrorism. I didn't say Islam, and therefore people go, no, you are Islamophobic. This is the same argument. It's like, how dare you come out against gangs who happen to be of a specific minority? You don't like that minority. No, you are actually guilty of doing that. If you hear MS-13 and hear innocent immigrants, that's on you, not anybody else.
By the way, do you see one of these definitions in the dictionary of animal is an inhuman person, brutish or beast-like person? So that's
why that
guy, to the president.
My nickname in the gym.
But that's why the MS-13 gang member called himself Animal.
No, a lot of people. That's their nickname. A lot of athletes.
That's why it's like ISIS.
Wrestlers.
They pride themselves in that. You know, who could be more brutal?
But did you notice in that hearing where the congresswoman was there? There was nobody else. No other congressional member was there to question.
I've literally testified in front of congressional committees
where
there's nobody there.
Listen, I've said this argument over and over. When it comes to immigration and it comes to actually passing comprehensive immigration reform, because our laws were made in 1984, Congress is missing in action. They're missing in action.
Also, it was a really nice day.
Well, they're
more so Republicans.
It was a really nice day.
But not MS-13.
Spring.
There's some good things from 1984, though.
All right, well, we won that argument.